Hey everybody, welcome back to Selena's Corner. I know it's been a while that since I've done a video, but I've had a little technical issues with the sound on my video camera. I finally have resolved that and figured out what the issue was. It was a wiring issue for charging the microphone and the camera. Can't do both at the same time apparently, but that's okay. I have fixed that and figured it out now. Also, another reason that it's been a little while is because I had to take everything off my counters over here so that they could fix my outlets, because they won't work in our apartments on outlets or anything if there's anything in the way, because they don't want to risk breaking something or something like that. So anyway, so I have also done a mini makeover in my kitchen and got all of that big stuff off the counter, because I bought a baker's rack that puts together to move all of my appliances over to the baker's rack. I'll include a picture of that on the video so that you can see what I've done, so that I can just take that stuff and move it over here as I need it, and then put it back on the baker's rack so it's out of the way when I don't need it. So I promised you in previous videos that I would show you how to use a sous vide heating water circulator for cooking. So today what I'm going to do, since it's Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and the dads that are moms too out there. I have 3 children, so they're all grown now. So I'm a mom too, as well as a hearing companion mom. So happy Mother's Day to the moms and dads that are moms too, to pets too. Anyway, so for Mother's Day, what I'm going to make is I'm going to make personal cheesecakes from AnovaCulinary.com, and the author of the recipe is Lucas Drost. So what we have to do is we have to get the sous vide set up, and I'm going to explain to you how I use and how I do my sous vide. Because you don't have to spend a lot of money on a sous vide machine, and you don't have to spend a lot of money for all the little extras that you need to be able to cook with the sous vide method. So what I do is you can vacuum seal bags, because you'll need to, because you're cooking in water, you're going to need to either vacuum seal your bags, or you're going to need freezer Ziploc bags. Get these at the Dollar Tree. 10 bags per gallon size for doing larger items, and 15 in a bag. Sometimes you can get bonus extras on these too. They have to be freezer bags because they're thicker and they'll stand up to the heating. We're not going to use heat high enough that it would melt a Ziploc bag, but we don't want to risk ruining our food and our spices or anything that we might have put in there. So I'm going to do 2 videos today. First I'm going to do the dessert, which, all my videos are dessert, I'm so sorry. But I did promise you that I would do one that was dinner. So later I'm going to do, I'm going to sous vide a bacon wrapped filet mignon and some green beans with almonds, which are like my favorite meal. And it's a holiday, so I wanted to do something special for myself for a holiday. So yesterday I made some yeast rolls, a couple hours in the oven with the oven light on. They rise right up. They're frozen, but they're amazing. So what we want to do first is we want to be able to, we want to go ahead and heat up our water, get our sous vide up to temp to put our personal cheesecakes in when the time comes. That's going to take 2 hours. So, I gotta tell you. So I did the sous vide steak video last Tuesday when I got home from work. But when I uploaded all the videos and downloaded the videos again so that I could put it all together, it was just a big screeching mess. So I thought, okay, so I thought I had solved my sound issues. That wasn't it. That's when I sat down and I really took some time to figure out do this and do that and figure out what's really going on. So I'll be doing the steak and green bean video for a second time today. So that's why we're doing 2 videos today. But we're going to do the dessert first because it takes 2 hours in this, just the sous vide part. And that's okay because you can go off and do other stuff while the sous vide is doing its thing. And then it needs to go into the refrigerator to cool for 2 hours. And then after that happens, what I'll do dinner. So dinner will take an hour and a half because I'm going to start from frozen. So you can be doing other stuff. You don't have to stand and stir your food or turn it over or whatever. I love this method because you just like basically set it, forget it, and come back when you hear the bell go off. So, like I said, you don't have to spend a lot of money on equipment when you do sous vide method. I got mine, and I'm pretty sure I'm not saying this right. My Pre-Up, P-R-E-U-P, my Pre-Up from eBay for like $4 and some change because I've been with eBay since the beginning. So I got a $25 gift certificate on their last anniversary last year, and I kept seeing everybody in the vanilla group talking about sous videing their extracts to kind of move them along a little quicker. So I thought, I wonder how much they are. And I started looking up how much they are, and I was like, ooh, okay, that's kind of pricey. But then when I got that $25 gift certificate, I jumped back on eBay to see if I could find something and use that, because then I wouldn't mind, because then I'd basically be paying kind of half price. But I found this one, and it's neat. It's digital, and then I can change the time or the temperature, and I cook Fahrenheit. You can cook Celsius or Fahrenheit with this, which is really nice because then it doesn't matter where you live, you can do either one. So I'm basically just going to change it, and it clips on to my sous vide box. Well, these things are fancy smancy. I mean, they've got racks that go in here. You just like vacuum seal your food and stick it down in those racks, and it just holds it in place while you cook. Or you can go the cheaper route and you can buy storage boxes from Walmart for $3 or $4 a piece. Mine is a 15-quart latching tote, mainstays. It's 16.25 by 11.1 by 6.83, and that's plenty for what I'm cooking for. And I even took and put a marker on where I need the water to be for the different things that I cook. I mainly cook the filet mignons in here, which is amazing. I need to do some chicken for you guys. So today I'm going to do, for dinner, I'm going to do the bacon wrap filet, like I promised before, and green beans almondine, so green beans with almonds. And instead of having the fancy smancy racks that are pretty pricey, I just put them in Ziploc bags and put them down in there, and the water displaces the air to basically vacuum seal the bag. Then I seal it, and then I just clip it onto the side here, like so. And then I put the top on. Then I'm going to wrap it with a towel to keep the heat in. Well, another thing that I do is, I'm just going to set this back here for a second. Another thing I do to help save the heat, and most of these aren't even sold with us, but this was just an idea that somebody in the group gave me. This is just like one of those dish mats that you would set dishes on to dry. So I basically just set my sous vide on this mat to preserve the heat from leaving the bottom, and then I have this towel that I use. I wrap it up like a warm little blanket, like so, to keep the heat in while it's cooking. Saves energy too. So that's what I do, and you'll see that as we're working. Also, I got, Remember how I said I wanted to figure out how to make some extra space because my counter's so small? Well, what I did is I got these cutting boards from Walmart, you know, $8 or $9 a piece. I can't remember, they weren't very expensive. And I just put them over, I got two and just put them over my double sink, and now I have a place to work. I got the counter wet. It's just water. So we're going to need to make a graham cracker crust, just like a traditional cheesecake today. We're going to need, I brought all the ingredients that we need to room temperature. So I've already done that. I got a glass bowl, and it even comes with a lid for the KitchenAid. So you guys can see what we're making now in the KitchenAid. Isn't that nice? I just really love that one. So you need to take it from the stand mixer to the refrigerator for whatever reason. You just put the top back on it, throw it in there, or maybe you need to cover it up. Maybe you're making frosting and you don't want it to get crusty in between. Just put this top on here. I'm going to take that off. So let's get the sous vide started because it needs to warm up to 176. And it's got some nice safety features too. It will not run. It will not run unless you have put enough water in it. And it's got a maximum and a minimum line. Probably should have showed you that before I put it on. So it's got a minimum and a maximum line on it. So, and also this bottom part comes off for cleaning if you ever need to. And it's got like a little circulating fan in there that circulates the heated water to cook the food. It's really neat. So I'm just going to put that on there like that. Now I'm going to unplug this so I have those outlets. I'm just going to put that out of the way. Probably should have done that before I started. Alright, so I'll plug it in. At least I think I'm going to plug it in. See how it's giving me an error message? It's giving me an error message because there's no water in here. Alright? So what we're going to do are little personal cheesecakes in today. Set this back over here. Are these little 4-ounce mason jars, 4-ounce canning jars. And I'm only going to make half of the recipe because I will not eat 12 cheesecakes before they go bad. So, and I don't know about you, but I don't always like frozen cheesecake. It's okay, but it just doesn't taste the same as fresh. So we're going to use these 4-ounce canning jars today. And I actually have a canning jar lifter here. So we're going to pick them up and we're going to put them down in there in heated water, and then we're going to take them out later on. Alright? So first thing we need to do is we need to put water in here so that we can cook. We cannot cook with no water. So I'm going to set that out of the way. And I'm going to get some water. So give me just 1 second, I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. So I'm going to take a picture right quick so you can see. So if you notice, as soon as I put this in there and it had water in it, it switched from the error message to Fahrenheit. And like I said, you don't have to, spend a lot of money on what you need for the sous vide. You might even have the stuff already on hand. The binder clips were $1 at the Dollar Tree. You know, the boxes of the freezer bags were $1 at the Dollar Tree. And this was, I think I looked it up, it was like $3.89 for for this box, and it comes with a top, a latching wood, and I've got another one that's a little bit taller, for, you know, I think it was like maybe $1 more because it's taller than this one is, and I didn't really see a need to bring that out, so I just left it where it was. So put this back out of the way. So now we need to get it started. Okay, it's set at 130. And for the Sous Vide personal cheesecakes, we need it to be 176 degrees Fahrenheit or 80 degrees Celsius. So I'm going to turn this to 176. Okay. And then I need, we're going to need to cook it for, a little further down in the recipe, for 2 hours. Okay. Now you have to be careful with these. Because the first time I thought I was setting it for 90 minutes, and I actually set it for 90 hours. So normally when you look at these digital clocks, it looks like you're looking at minutes. On this one, it's hours and minutes over here. So yeah. Alrighty. So we also need to bake the crust for our little cheesecakes, our personal cheesecakes, for 8 minutes at 350 degrees. So I already have the oven preheated and I have everything measured out already. So for this recipe, and I'm doing half, I'll post a link to the recipe just like I always do, but I'm doing half of this recipe because I'm making it for myself. So it says that we need 12 4-ounce mason jars, 6 graham crackers, or a cup of graham cracker crumbs, 2½ tablespoons of all unsalted butter, melted, 1 pound of whole fat cream cheese. I've already cut mine up into little pieces. I don't know what's in there. I need to figure out what's in there. It's a little graham cracker crumbs in my cream cheese. Oopsie. Sorry about that. Okay, so then we need a ½ cup of sugar, a ½ tablespoon of cornstarch, a dash of salt, a 1/4 cup of sour cream, and a tablespoon of lemon juice. It says it's optional, but I use it because I think the lemon juice is actually what gives the cheesecake its flavor. A ½ teaspoon of vanilla extract, and you know, I make my own. I have a video on that. And 2 large eggs. And you know that you always bring your ingredients for cheesecake to room temperature before you begin so that it has a nicer texture. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to crush the graham cracker crumbs in a food processor or in a bag using a rolling pin until they form fine crumbs. And melt the butter in the microwave and mix this into the graham cracker crumbs. The mixture should look like wet sand and hold together in a clump when you press it in your fist. If not, you add a ½ tablespoon of water one at a time until the mixture holds together. And then you divide the mixture into the 12 jars, roughly a ½ tablespoon into each one, and then press it evenly into the bottom. So I like to add a little sugar to my graham cracker crust when I do them. So I looked at the recipe for 2 cups, cut that in half, and then I cut it in half again because I'm only going to need half of this recipe, so a ½ cup. So it's a teaspoon and a half of sugar that I'm adding. So I'm going to put graham cracker crumbs in here. I'm going to throw in my sugar. That's optional, that's just what I do. And then I'm going to put my melted butter in here too. And then I'm going to stir it until it's the consistency of wet sand. And we did this before in a previous video that I did for the quick cooker cheesecake. So it's same concept. So at first it looks kind of lumpy and clumpy. And you can do this with a fork too. I'm just using a spoon today. Just kind of mix and mix and mix until all your clumps are gone. Because your little clumps is the butter that's kind of sticking everything together. Just make sure you get from the bottom. So remember, if you like what you see today or this afternoon when I do the steaks and the green beans, and I'll bake a potato in the microwave too. I get those from the produce section. 6 or 7 minutes, depending on the size, straight into the microwave. I take that label off first though. You guys know I wash my hands. So anyway, if you like what you see today, be sure that you like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. Be nice. And share, so your friends can see how to make this stuff too. So it holds together just fine. There's my finger sticking. Okay. I'm just gonna mix it up a little bit more just for good measure. It's still got a few lumps in there from the butter. Alright. I think that'll be good. I'm just going to put this up. Alright. Well, I can press start, huh? Alright. So I was still blinking, sorry. So I have to press this and I get the temperature, I press this and I get to the time, and I can roll that little wheel, and then I press the temperature, I get to the minute, then I press the start button. Sorry, that was the part I forgot. Oops. So it's about a half a tablespoon in each one of these, and of course you see I'm putting heaping tablespoons. Half a tablespoon, sorry. And the only thing I had to half this time was, I actually want a little more than that. I'm just going to divide up what I have in each jar. But I did half the recipe, and I'm using half the jars. So it just makes sense to just go ahead and just divide it all up, right? So let's do that. Let's do that. Remember what Josh says, just get into the kitchen and experiment. Make it your own. That's what we're doing. Making it our own. Alright. So I'm just going to take these, and of course you know I made a mess. I always make a mess. I mean, what would one of my videos be without making a mess? Alright? Alright. So I'm just going to use my clean thumb, and I'm just going to press this down in here evenly. Each one of these. Just like that. See? And remember, it's Mother's Day. You might think you're by yourself right now, but who knows? Somebody might show up with a surprise for you, who knows? And now you'll have dinner for the guests. Dinner. Now you'll have dessert. Say, oh really? Well, I made cheesecake today. And you can make these anytime. I just love these. I've been wanting to do this little recipe for you guys for a while. Just turn it around and around and around. Just make it nice and neat. So I used half of this recipe. So I did a half a cup of graham cracker crumbs, 1 1/4 tablespoons of butter, and I added 1 1/2 teaspoons of sugar, because I like mine kind of sweet. I like sweet too. And then as I get to the cheesecake part, I'll tell you what I did as far as half of the recipe. And press them down in here nice. So this evening or this afternoon, when I do the steaks, that will only have to be 130 degrees because I like my steaks medium rare. Medium to medium rare. And they're kind of thick. And the good thing is that with this, you can go from the freezer to the sous vide. You just add 30 minutes. So if your recipe says to cook for an hour, then you cook it for an hour and a half. So something I did learn, it's kind of a good thing that my video messed up the other day, because I did learn something about the green beans. The green beans were really good. But I think what I'll do today is, instead of letting them be in like a bunch in my bag, is I'm gonna lay them out flat. I'm gonna add my other ingredients and the almonds, and I added seasoned salt, salt and pepper, and a tablespoon of butter, like a little pat of butter to it. And what I'll do is I'm gonna lay it out flat, and then I'm gonna vacuum seal that. I'm gonna vacuum seal that back. Because I think they would have cooked a little better. They were fine, they were al dente. Nothing wrong with that, but I just like mine cooked a little more. So I think they would have cooked a little better if I had laid them out flat. So that's what I'm going to do today. So I did kind of learn something, even though I'm having to do the whole video over again. All right. So those are all done. They look nice, huh? So we're going to move these back over here out of the way. We don't need any of this stuff right now. And we're going to bring the KitchenAid over here. And it's heavy. These bad boys are heavy. And I got the tilt hood. And I don't know if I'm allowed to take these off after I buy them, but I just leave them on. You know, maybe something happens to me and somebody else will want it. All right. The only drawback to the KitchenAid, in my opinion, is that it doesn't have a timer. So when we need to mix it for a certain number of minutes, we'll have to ask Google for help. All right. So just like the metal bowls or the stainless steel bowls, this just twists right up. I just got to get it in the right place. All right. Yeah, sure, Selena. You can get it in the right place. Okay. So I think it's on. It's not going to move. So now what we need to do, we got to bake the crust for 8 minutes. And I've already preheated the oven. Now I just have it in the center of the oven. So I'm going to set the time for 8 minutes. And then it says when you take them out to cool them on a wire rack. Sure, sure. All right. So, in the meantime, we're supposed to make our cream cheese. I need the paddle attached. Give me 1 second. Yeah, it might be helpful to have what you need if you want to do any cooking. So I had to get the attachment out of the bowl. So I'm going to use the paddle attachment. All right. Sorry about that. I thought I had everything. So we put that on there like so. Make sure it's on there nice and tight. So now we need to place the cream cheese. So the recipe calls for a pound. That's 16 ounces. So half of that recipe would be 8 ounces. And you know I already put it in little cubes. Sorry. Alright. So it says place the cream cheese, the sugar, and I'm using a 1/4 cup of sugar instead of a 1/2 cup. The cornstarch and the dash of salt. I put those in the same bowl. Put it all in the bowl. So. All right. Okay, and it says fitted with paddle attachment. It says alternately use an electric handheld mixer in a large bowl. Mix on medium to low speed until the mixture is creamy, like thick frosting. Medium to low, I guess, would be, this goes up to 10. So I'm going to do 3-ish. Want any lumps of cream cheese remaining. Then it says to scrape down the beater and the sides of the bowl with a spatula. Then we're going to add the sour cream, which called for a 1/4 cup, and I only used an 1/8. The lemon juice, if you used it, remember it said it was optional, which is a teaspoon, so I used a 1/2 teaspoon, and the vanilla. 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. Yeah, okay, well, I didn't have that. Because you don't need vanilla. Alright, so that's nice and creamy, so we're going to turn this off. And we're going to scrape down the beater. And I tell you, if you let your stuff get to room temperature, this will go so much quicker and you won't be fighting this cream cheese, because I tell you, if you don't let it get to room temperature, it is really a pain to get it to that creamy stage that quickly. You won't get it to that stage that quickly if you don't let it get to room temperature. All right. So, I had a paper towel to use for sticking our stuff on. Got about 3.5 minutes. Okay. So, now it says to add the sour cream. All that yumminess out there. So I'm going to grab a spoon. I'm going to show you guys how to make homemade sour cream, and you will never buy store-bought again. From Cultures for Health. Yeah. Okay, so we add our sour cream and our lemon juice. 1/2 teaspoon, and it says a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. I'm doing half the recipe, but I'm still doing 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. And I added this together. Alrighty. So now it says to beat the mixture on medium-low speed until combined and creamy. Scrape down the beater and the sides of the bowl with a spatula. I'm going back to 3 again. Still creamy. That looks creamy to me. Okay, our sous vide is up to 109 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm in North America, South Carolina, so I use Fahrenheit. And the sous vide does both Celsius and Fahrenheit. Straight down the bowl. Just gonna rock the spatula off there. Everything in the bowl on the spatula. Right. Alright. So now it says with the mixture on medium, low speed, beat in the eggs. I'm only using one at a time. It says at first the mixture will look clumpy and broken, but it will come together as the eggs work in. And then we'll scrape down the beaters and the sides of the bowl with a spatula, and we'll stir the whole batter a few times by hand, being sure to scrape the bottom of the bowl and to make sure everything is nicely incorporated. And then it says the finished batter should be thick, creamy, and silky. And it says don't worry if you see a few specks of unmixed cream cheese here and there. They will melt into the batter during the baking and won't affect the finished cheesecake. So, let's go. So I'm on 3 again, or what I call them 3 anyway. So as a treat, I'm drinking Sprite and blackberry liqueur that I made myself. Cheers. Ooh, it's got a nice pretty yellow color to it now. Still pieces, still see some of the egg though. Crust are done. Take those out and we're going to move them to this little rack to let's find another paper towel. Sour cream all over the counter. And because they're hot, I'm gonna use my canning. Bring it over here to cool. Canning lifters actually came as part of a little canning package. It came with an air bubble tool and a magnetic load lifter, like for when you put them in hot water to get them ready for canning. Jar lifter and funnel for jars. That's what I need. I might make some jelly for you guys. I make jelly from juice. Jelly from juice. How cool is that? I made blueberry syrup, however you like to say it, for Christmas gifts one year. I think it was one of the first neighbor gifts that I gave, and yeah, it was really nice. It's starting to thicken up now. Nice. I don't know how long it's been, but we still got a couple of minutes on our TV. Turn this off. I don't have a rubber light on. Keep going. So it thickens up. So what I'm going to do after they cool is I'm going to top them with cherry. Cherry pie filling, and I also have blueberry pie filling. So I actually use these as fruit on the bottom when I make yogurt with fruit on the bottom. It works perfectly. You can do apple too and put some graham cracker crumbs and some cinnamon on top of that, and you have apple pie. That's what I'm going to use as my topping. I'm going to do cherry, I think. It's nice. Nice, pretty yellow color. That's from the yolk and the egg. See how that looks. So it's supposed to be, lost my place. So it's supposed to look thick, creamy, and silky. It wasn't coming off of the spatula. I mean, the beater. So it's definitely thick. And it's creamy. Make sure we get all that yummy goodness off of there. Unplug this so we don't have any accidents. And it says to scrape down the sides. Scrape down the beater and the sides of the bowl with a spatula and stir the whole batter a few times by hand, being sure to scrape the bottom of the bowl and make sure everything is nicely incorporated. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. I think I am anyway. We're up to 132 now. Scrape down the sides. Make sure we get to the bottom. It smells so good. YouTube, somebody on YouTube needs to invent smell-o-tube. YouTube something. I'll let you figure out what you want to call it. Alright. That looks nice. Alright, so I'm going to get a little bit bigger spoon so we can put our batter down into these side way. I'm actually going to put this back on my table over here. Oh, shoot. Oops. I already unplugged it. So let's start again. Okay. That's a good thing about it. The water's already hot to a certain temperature, and it remembered where I stopped the last time. So that's another good thing about sous vide cooking. Even though I messed up and unplugged it, it still remembered where I was. And it still had the temperature of water. And I'm just being beautiful. Alright, we get this out of the way. Feel kind of silly now. Okay. So these are. Don't need this anymore. Put that out of the way over there. And start filling up our little jars. They're warm, but they're not. And because we are going to put the lid on it, we want to try to keep from getting our edges dirty. It's like when you're doing canning, you want to make sure that your rims are clean or you won't get a good seal. That's something I'll show you when I make jelly for you. Make some strawberry jam too. I actually have a jelly and jam machine maker from Ball Cream. That is really nice. And it's basically, you just put everything in there and set the timer and tell it whether you're making jelly or jam, and off you get. Listen for the timer. And voila. Yes, I know that's cheating. But hey, whatever makes it easier. This has a handle on it too, so makes it easy to hold. Get every last drop of yumminess out of here. Don't lick your finger, it's got rye in it, remember. Don't put your fingers. It's got raw egg. Alright. See how nice those look? And I was thinking about going ahead and putting the cherry or the blueberries on top of these before I put them in the sous vide, and I thought, these cheesecakes might expand because they're not cooked. You know how cheesecake expands when you cook it, right? So I am not going to do that. So I'll shake these to make sure they're nice and even. Oh, I can use just a little dab more. That's pretty well. I get nice and even. I think these are going to be really, really good. Alright. So I was careful not to get my brooms dirty. Got it that way. Hand wash. I think there's a cheesecake on my hands. We're up to 146 now. So then it says divide the batter evenly between the jars and screw the lids on finger tight. Finger tight. That doesn't mean to, yeah. Finger tight. Just like you would do for candy. Now, if I had been canning, you cannot can dairy. Let me just tell you that. This is dairy, eggs, cream cheese. You cannot can dairy. You heard me say that, right? You cannot can dairy. Now, if we were canning jelly or something like that, we would have needed to sterilize our jars and our lids before we started, okay? And then our jars would have needed to be hot before we put our product into them, okay? So, say it with me. You cannot can dairy, okay? Yeah, okay, so I told you that. Okay, so we're up to 149. So what I'm going to do right quick while we get up to temperature is, instead of wasting your time yapping on and on like I do sometimes, I'm so sorry, I'm going to clean up the kitchen and we're going to get ready for the next step. So I'll be right back. Hey everybody, so we're back. So we have reached our temperature of 176. And I put this on because it seemed like it just got stuck at 174 for a while. So that little light right there, it beeped a couple of times. So I was trying to be here when it went off, but yeah, okay, I wasn't. So this little light right here is telling us that we're up to temperature. So now we need to put our little cheesecakes into the sous vide to cook. So we're just going to stick them right down in there. And the recipe said to use tongs, but my tongs aren't big enough for it, so I just got these out. But you don't want to, you can put them in there, but don't put them in there without tongs or without one of these, which is a canning jar lifter. But just make sure that you don't drop them down in there and splash yourself, because that water is hot and it will scald and burn you. Okay. So now we've got our little cheesecakes down in there. I probably should have taken the sticker off so you guys can see what I'm doing here. I'll see if I can work on that. Anyway, so now what I do is I put my lid on to conserve the heat that's in here. And I, like a dummy, I didn't measure this well enough. I should have measured twice and cut once, and I didn't. But I made the hole a little bit bigger than I should have. But still, like I said, somebody in the vanilla group suggested that we wrap a towel around our sous vide containers to conserve heat and energy. So that's what I do. I'm like, oh yeah, I got a big fat fluffy towel that I don't use for anything else. So that's what I do. So I'm gonna wrap a towel around it. I'm like all the mess up here. I'm gonna overlap it. Now thankfully, this does not get hot enough to burn the towel. So now I have it all wrapped up like a little baby. Alright. There's little fits here, so I don't want to cover those up. So now it says to cook our cheesecake for 2 hours. It says use tongs to submerge the jars into the water bath. Let cook for 2 hours, then transfer to a cooling rack and let cool. Once the jars are sealed, we'll refrigerate them for 2 hours to set. So when the 2 hours is up, I'm not going to move them to the cooling rack until they seal, because I want you to hear, if you've never done canning before, and we're not canning, but it's the same thing. The same thing will happen when you can, when jars seal. So I'm going to make sure that I don't take these out of the sous vide bath until I have the camera back on, because I want you to hear what it sounds like when the jar seals. Okay? So we got 2 hours. Hey Google, can you set a timer for 2 hours? Hey Google, can you set a timer for 2 hours, please?
2 hours, starting now.
I can plug this back in, so I don't need but just the one. Alrighty, so Google is going to tell us when the time is up, and I will come back then. I'm going to upload these videos in the meantime and get those ready to share with you from the video program that I used to put it all together. I've already got my pictures ready and that sort of thing. So I took some pictures, I cleaned up the kitchen. So we won't need this anymore, but I'm still going to leave it out here because I want to reread those last few instructions to you before I wrap that up. And then while these are cooling, I'll check to see what time it is. Right now it's like 3:24. So 2 hours from now it'll be 5:24. So while these are cooling, we'll do the dinner video of the sous vide filet mignon and the green beans. Okay? So we'll be back in just a little while. Remember to like, share, subscribe, make a comment, be nice. And let me know what else you'd like to see me make. I know I need to do some chicken in the sous vide. So I'll get some chicken breasts and we'll do some chicken breasts for dinner. Maybe some rice. I'll see if we can sous vide rice. I don't know yet, but we'll find out. So we'll see you in 2 hours. Hey everybody, welcome back. So the timer has ended and it's now time to take out the little cheesecakes. And like I said, I wanted you to hear what it sounds like when the seal sets. Hopefully it won't take too long. Usually it doesn't take very long. It'll take just a few minutes. I did get the green beans ready while we were waiting. Took some pictures for you. Got the videos from the previous one uploading. It will have some condensation on it, so be careful when you take this off. Fixed a dripping faucet while we were waiting too. Alrighty. take these out carefully. And I'm just going to tilt them just a little bit to get that water off of there. Move them over here. They're going to be really hot, so if you don't have any of these, be careful with whatever you do use. You don't want to get burned because they are really hot. Now you're going to listen for a pop. Kind of like that, but a tinny sound. Like a click. Like a donkey. And Shrek 2. Being a pain on the Are We Yet There Yet trip. Entertaining himself. So I can't wait to see how these turned out. They look nice. I'm going to dab this water off the top. And we wait for that sound. Normally it doesn't take very long. Then I'll take them and I'll put them in the refrigerator. And what I do, I have glass shelves on the bottom in my refrigerator. So what I do is I put a paper towel, not a wet one, but a paper towel over the glass, and so when I have to put something that's hot in there, that way, you know, I don't have to worry about it cracking the box. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do the steaks, and we did have some water evaporation. So what I'll do is I'll refill this back up to the stop line. Get a little bit of water.
Your 2-hour timer is up.
Okay, Google, cancel. I set that almost 5 minutes after I started this timer. Because the timer on this doesn't start until it reaches temperature. Now the steaks and the green beans, I'm only going to cook at 130. So hopefully adding this cold water will bring the temperature down some. And we'll find out. So you turn it to the right to bring it down. You turn it to the left to turn it up. And we're only going to cook the steaks for an hour, and the steaks and the green beans for an hour and 30 minutes, because they're frozen. So if they weren't frozen, it would be just for an hour. So I'm going to turn this up to 30 minutes. Let's see where our temperature is. So we're still at 143, so I don't want to start cooking just yet. I want that to cool down some. I might add some more water, try to cool it down some. Because that cooled down quite a bit just from that water that I added. So I haven't heard it pop yet. It shouldn't take too long. Cause that's like the most wonderful sound in the world when you're a canner, is hearing that popping sound. Take a picture in the meantime. So I'll show you what I did with the green beans. So I laid them flat in the bag this time, and then I put a pat of butter and some slivered almonds, some salt and pepper, and some seasoned salt in there. And I'll clip it to the side when I put it in there. And I also left the steak in a freezer bag, so you can see how I displace the air in the bag. I'll just like open just a little tiny bit of this so I can put it down in there, and the water will displace the air like it vacuum seals it. It's really neat to see how it is science, right? There's some things I can tell you about vanilla while we're waiting for that to pop. Things you can do with vanilla. In your refrigerator, wipe down the inside with some vanilla to neutralize any smells and keep it smelling fresh. Soak a cotton ball in vanilla and place it in the refrigerator. You can use it as an air freshener. Place 1 to 2 drops on a light bulb. Turn on the light and the heat will fill the air with the scent of vanilla. But I don't know how keen I am on doing that because vanilla extract is made with alcohol. So I'm not sure I'm keen on that part. Paint, you can neutralize the smell of paint by adding 1 tablespoon of vanilla to it. You can use it as a bug repellent. Dilute 1 tablespoon of vanilla in 1 cup of water and spray on skin to repel mosquitoes, ticks, and black flies. Relieves burns. Apply vanilla to the burn to relieve pain. Relieves toothaches. Dip a cotton ball in vanilla and apply to the affected tooth. Reduces swelling. Apply directly to a bruise or swollen area. Remove labels. Soak the label with vanilla to remove it and the sticky residue. Perfume. Dab a little vanilla behind your ears and on your wrist. Didn't know that. So yeah. I need to put this in some. Need to laminate it so it'll lay flat. It's not laying flat right now. Still haven't heard a pop yet. So it says once the jars are sealed, refrigerate for at least 2 hours to set, and then after it sets, when dinner is ready, when my dinner is ready, we'll do. I'll take one of these out for dessert, and I'll put some cherry topping on it. Cherry pie filling is what I use for my topping, and then I'll take some more pictures. Let's see what this is sitting at now. Oops, I accidentally changed it to Celsius. Alright, so we're back to Fahrenheit. So it's at 133. So even that I think will be okay. So I hope that you can see what I'm going to do with this steak. So before you put it in the freezer, or before you start your sous vide cooking, what you can do is, I'm just going to keep all but just one little bit closed, is I added my seasonings before I froze it. Now if I was going to cook it from fresh, I got into late yesterday to do this video yesterday, or I would have done it from fresh, but let's do it from frozen. So I've put the seasonings in there and put it in a freezer bag, and so now when I cook, the seasonings will cook into my food. So let's put the steak in there first, because we're going to need to displace the water. Okay, and I put all, but I'm going to get a wooden spoon too, so I don't touch that hot water. So just put it down in there, and just press it down, press it down, press it down, so the air comes up to the top of the bag, and you get all the air out, and you just press your bag closed. And now you have, basically you have a vacuum sealed bag, because you displaced all the water. And this one is already vacuum sealed, so I'm going to go ahead and put that one in next to the steak. And I'm going to clip it to the side too, so they don't spin around in my... Alright, I'll press those down. So now we're going to go back over here. See how easy that was? It took me longer to prep the green beans, because I had to make a vacuum seal bag than it did to put them in here. Alright. See how it makes that sound when it's ready? Alright. So I'm going to get my towel again. Didn't take any pictures. I didn't take pictures, right? I forgot to take pictures. Oopsie. So let's take some pictures. So let me know it's ready. Now, take some pictures so you can see the before and after, what they look like before and after. Now, what we're going to do is, obviously, cooking it this way, the steak's not going to get brown. Have that nice, caramel finish to it. So we're going to finish it. Put this down. Okay. Put my towel on first. Did you ever pop yet? I haven't heard pop yet. Weird. Normally when somebody says the jars have sealed, that's what I'm waiting for, is to hear that pop. Alright, so I got my towel ready. Got everything all covered up nice and neat. I've covered up any of the vents on the side. Hey Google, can you set a timer for an hour and 25 minutes, please? I'm only going to set it
1 hour and 25
less
minutes.
time this time.
And that's starting now.
So the timer doesn't start until it's ready. So when the steak is finished, we're going to put a tablespoon of butter in this cast iron skillet, and we're going to brown it 2 minutes on each side to give it that nice finish that we like to have on our steaks. Normally what I would do is I would start it in this cast iron skillet and I would cook it 5 minutes on medium, high heat butter. I put it on like 5. Yes, medium high heat with a tablespoon of butter, and then I turn it over after 5 minutes. And then once I've turned it over after the 5 minutes, I'll wait another 5 minutes, and then I'll turn it back over. And then I'll put it into the oven at 400 degrees for 15 minutes, and that'll cook it perfectly. So instead of wasting all that electricity doing all of that, I just sous vide it for an hour and a half, because I cook from frozen. If I don't cook from frozen, I cook fresh, I would only do it for an hour. Then I would brown it on both sides for 2 minutes, and you'll see that part. I'll move this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing over there. And then that'll be all we have to do there. So I'm going to pause this for just a minute and see if I hear a little pop, and if I hear a pop, I'll come back out here because there'll only be one. So I'll be right back. Everybody, so we're back. So I just heard one of them pop. Because each one of these has like a little button in the middle of it. So when the heat vacuum seals it, that button is down. So that's kind of how you can tell that it's sealed. I don't see the button on that one, so I think that one is the one that popped. Just a waiting game, sorry. Doesn't look like they expanded much, so I probably could have put that pie filling on top. Maybe I will next time, just to see. This anymore. Did you hear that? Sounds kind of like a tinny pop. So you know I live in the South, and we have a problem with people call them fruit flies, but they're like, I don't have any fruit in the house. Where they come from? So they're actually drain flies. I even know how we did drain flies. We did drain flies. So an easy way to deal with them is you can get a little bit of red wine vinegar, a little bit of red wine, add some water, and a couple drops of dish soap and mix it up really well. So they're attracted to the sugars in the wine, and they go in there and they get trapped and they drown. So once you see them, just do that for a couple days and they're all gone. Because if they're in the wine grounded, they can't lay any more eggs.
We have a little patience.
I know this one popped. And I can see I filled them to the screen here. So when you're doing canning, this isn't canning because you can't can dairy, but when you're doing canning, one of the tools that comes in that canning kit is a headspace measurer. So if it tells you need half an inch of headspace, you know this line, this first line is here. And each one of these lines is actually a headspace marker. So half an inch, a quarter of an inch. So, and headspace is really important because if you don't give enough headspace to something that expands, it can break your canning rolls. So you don't want to do that because these bad boys are kind of expensive. I'll put a link to where I got them. I got them at Ace Hardware. During the pandemic, they were the only place that I could find them that wasn't price gouging. So, and had them in stock. So, it's right here. I did Google start a timer when these pop and I can put them all in the refrigerator. I want you to hear it at least one more time before I pause the video. We have an hour and 17 minutes on this. So I'll work on getting these uploaded for you. Do you hear that? Kind of a tinny pop. Hopefully these will go too. This one. I actually saw that one go down. So we got 3. We'll wait for one more. So this will be done right in time for kind of an early dinner for me because I usually don't eat till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. I'm used to that just from my kids playing sports and coming home so late. And last night I didn't even bother to eat anything until like 10 o'clock. Probably shouldn't be eating that late and then going to bed a few hours later. One more. And then I'll put the video on pause. They cool down pretty quick, so 2 hours should be just perfect. They're small too, so not like we're trying to cool a whole cheesecake. If you didn't count all of your pops when, let's say we're making jelly, you didn't count all of your pops, you can look at them and you'll, I don't know if you can see it from there, but one is flat and one's still got like a little round indentation in it. So, how many do we have? We still got 2 more. So maybe I can get a picture of it, I'm not sure. But let's try. Get a picture. Flat. Do it without the flash too. It's hard to like see that little bump. Can I try? Okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video because we're only waiting on 2 more now and I don't want to waste your time. But remember, if you like what you see today, to subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment and be nice. And I'll be back in just a little while. So I'm gonna put these in the refrigerator as soon as these last two pop. And then we've got 1 hour and 13 minutes on our steak and our green beans, and then I'll come back right before that's ready so you can hear the little timer. And then we'll put the some fruit topping on these, and it'll be time for dinner. Throw a potato in the microwave. Oh, I gotta show you something else. Almost forgot. So, guess what this is? These are homemade bacon bits. I was wondering, I wonder how you make homemade bacon bits, because the bad boys are kind of expensive. So, I bought some cheap bacon, and it said to semi-freeze a pound of bacon. And then you're going to take it and put it on a cutting board, and you're going to cut it into 1/4 inch pieces, and then you're going to cut those in half. And then I took all of that and I put it into my nonstick frying pan, and I cooked it on like medium high until the bacon was nice and crispy and there wasn't any more, the fat was cooked nicely. And then I took that and I spread it out on a cookie sheet and let it absorb all of the grease. And then I let that grease, when bacon grease gets cold, it gets solid. So you can either reuse it if you like. A lot of Southern cooks do. A lot of people put in their green beans and their collard greens and beans and stuff like that, and they're great for frying eggs. Or you can just throw it away. So I don't eat a lot of fried eggs. I eat more scrambled than anything, and I don't really cook enough things I would use bacon grease for. So I'll just let it get solid and then I throw it away. I don't put it down the sink. Don't put grease down the sink, it will clog it up. So then after it was cool, then I did 2 bags of apples. So then after it was cool, I divided it up into 2 bags. So I have one in the refrigerator and I have one in the freezer. And then when I get down to this one, I'll make some more and I'll freeze it. So now I have homemade bacon bits, and for what I paid for a bag of homemade store-bought bacon bits, I can make 2 bags at home for less, because I just buy the store brand bacon and it worked just fine. It tastes just as good as that homemade name brand stuff. So anyway, I'm going to use that on my potato tonight. So I will see you shortly. Everybody, so we're back to Selena's corner. So I'm getting ready to take the steak and the green beans out. So I've already like gotten everything out that I would need for this part of the video. I was going to do like 2 separate videos, like the cheesecake. So it's letting us know that it's done. So I was going to do 2 separate videos, the steak and the green beans and the cheesecake, but I just decided that I just go ahead and do it all in one because it is going to be dinner and dessert for me today on Mother's Day. So I got out the tools that I'll need to finish the steak. So we have a meat thermometer and we have tongs because when you're cooking steaks, you don't want to poke it with a fork or mush it down with a spatula because that squishes the juices or releases the juices from the meat and it makes the meat tough. So you don't want to do that. So always use tongs or at least use a spatula to gently turn it over. You don't want to use anything that'll poke or pierce the meat. So we're going to do the next step. So let's unwrap our little package here. And I already put the cherries in another container. And I'll top the cherries for the dinner. I'm just going to set this over here for now. I'm going to go ahead and unplug this because we don't need it anymore this evening. Afternoon, evening. And remember, water's going to drip. Move this over here. And we don't want to get our plug wet. So we're just going to carefully remove this from the water. And I'm just going to set it over here out of the way. Make sure that my plug doesn't go in the sink. Okay. So it'll sit straight there on the, take a picture. Green beans on our steak and final stages. Okay, so I'll show you what the green beans look like. They're nice and they're done. And I think making them flat like that was a really good idea because they have cooked more this time than they did when I did them for my felt video the other day. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to leave them in here so they'll stay warm while we do the steak. I got my plate over here already. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing, so I think I'm going to get out my cutting boards. So I have some space to work over here. Put all my extras for my potato that I have out. I'm going to take this and I'm going to carefully move it over here to my table. That water's 130 degrees. I mean, it's not bad, but you still don't want to make a mess. But I'm just moving it so that we can see what I'm doing on the stove. Just move that out of the way. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put the potato in the microwave. I'm going to cook that for, I'll cook that for 6 minutes. It's not a very big potato, and like I said, I took the sticker off of it. Okay, I'm going to turn this on medium high. I'm going to turn on my vent because I don't want to set off my smoke alarm. When you cook with butter, sometimes that happens. The pan will smoke a lot. Get our steak out. Show you what that looks like. So, you see, it still needs to be browned. And like I said, I cooked it on 130 because I want it to be medium rare after I brown. Okay, so I have a meat thermometer, just like always, because we don't want to undercook it and we don't want to overcook it either. With all that trouble. I have my tongs here, my meat thermometer here, and I am melting my butter. And I'm using Carrie's Gold Irish butter. It's unsalted. And the reason I'm using unsalted butter is because I've already put salt and pepper on my steak over there. This is the first time I've used Carrie's Gold to brown a steak, so we'll see. I know that I put it on potatoes, it's really good. We're just letting that butter melt and the pan to heat up. I need to get my handle holder, because you know when you cook with cast iron, your handles will heat up. Melting that butter. And I'm just using a tablespoon of butter in this pan. Butter is all melted. So now I'm just going to take this out of here. And I'm just going to put it into the pan. Just like that. So I can brown it on both sides. Don't need this. So I'm going to throw that away. We're going to brown that on both sides for 2 minutes, but I'm not going to stick the thermometer in it until I turn it over, because I don't want to poke a hole in it until I've turned it over. So now the last personal cheesecake, the top didn't pop on it, so I'm going to eat that one tonight because it didn't pop. I don't want to risk it going bad before I eat the other, so I made sure I put it up front so I know which one it is. Alright, so now our steak is starting to sizzle. And there's some bacon around it, and sometimes what I'll do is I'll just like set it on its side, crisp up that bacon a little bit. So I have 2.5 minutes on potato. I'm going to use that as my timer. And I'm just a big old sissy because every time a pot starts smoking at all, I just kind of, okay, there's these fire extinguisher out. But this is the kind of stuff you absolutely do not walk away from. You have to watch this stuff because, especially if you're like me and you're ADHD, you'll just get off on something else, and next thing you know, all the fire smoke detectors are going off, and yeah, we have a situation in the kitchen. So don't walk away from this stuff. Always. And the butter will start to brown. And you notice I'm not messing with it. I'm not pressing it down or moving it around in the pan. I'm not doing any of that stuff. That is not necessary. Have some patience, and sometimes when you're doing stuff like this, 2 minutes seems like a long time. So I think it's like 2.5 minutes. So I'm going to go by that. It's 2.5 minutes. Probably turn my flash back on. The green beans look good. Can't wait to taste those. They were really good the other night, even though they weren't quite as done as I normally like them. They were so good though. That's what gave me the idea to do it, to make sure they were flat and vacuum sealed this time instead. But the almonds look good. They're nice and transparent. Oh, and I did find out you can sous vide rice. So maybe when I do the chicken for you guys, I'll sous vide some rice too. So that would be nice. So my potato is done. Something I've learned about these potatoes is that you have to take them out of this plastic wrap fairly quickly, and I don't know why, you just do. So that is done. So we'll put all stuff on it. Now we're going to turn our steak. See how pretty it looks? Now I'm going to put the thermometer in it. What did we say was medium rare? 150, 160? Set a timer. 30 seconds. Let's see what my notes say. So, medium rare, 129 to 130. We're well within that range right now. And I'm not taking the thermometer out because I don't want the juices to flow over into the pan. I can start making my potato over here. Kind of fluff it up some. Got some butter, some sour cream, and some cheese. Somebody got to invent YouTube smell-o-vision, because this sure smells good. I wish you guys could smell it, because it smells so good. You start to smell the bacon now, wrapped around the side. A lot of sour cream on there. Put it in there. Alright. So that says our steak is done. And my thermometer says our steak is done. So now what I want to do, I want, see how nice it looks? So I want to, I can figure out what I want to do. So I want to crisp that bacon a little bit. That's what I'm doing now. I'm going to crisp that bacon a little bit. Go ahead and turn the stove off. We don't need it anymore because that cast iron will hold the heat really well. See how it's starting to smoke now? Some homemade bacon bits. Put all this stuff away. I'm going to turn this over a little bit. Let the brown on this other side now. Might have to hold it. Or switch it to the other side. Take a picture and show you how pretty it looks. So remember, if you like what you see today, remember to like, share, subscribe, make a comment. Be nice. Yeah, let me know in the comments what you would like for me to make for you. I would love to cook for you guys. Just let me know what you would like for me to cook. I'm thinking I need to do some chicken, sous vide chicken. And I need to do some rice. I got real nice saffron from Lowe's Food. It was really inexpensive. I was surprised, so I bought a bunch of it. I think that works really nice. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take that off the heat. I'll put it right there. I'm going to move this off the heat. Set that right there. Come back over here. Get out my green beans. I'm gonna size that around a little. Get that butter in there. Because remember we put some butter in there. I'm gonna cut this off because nope, you can't use it again. Grandma? No. You cannot use this again. And I'm going to put this on my plate. Like so. Put these away. Because I don't need them. So I'm not going to be looking for them again. Drop these off right quick. I already put salt and pepper in everything except the potato, of course. Put a little pepper on there. Tiny bit of salt. Just brighten it up some. Turn the counter off. Show you what it looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload these videos, and I'm going to eat my dinner, my Mother's Day dinner. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to finish our dessert and then wrap up the whole thing. So I'll see you in just a little while. Hey everybody, so we're back. So dinner's done, and it was really good. You guys have got to try it. So I'll put in the description a link to a Sous Vide website where I got this recipe, and I mentioned them earlier, and they have the settings for different types of steak cuts that you might like to eat, or making a sous vide, and the different temperatures that you would use for the doneness that you like. So let's do dessert. This is the one that the top didn't pop. It's on there pretty good though. Alright. So they didn't expand a lot. So I think that I probably could get away with putting some pie filling on the top of that, and I might the next time that I make this. So like I said, I'm doing cherry, and I just use cherry pie filling. I'll have to rinse that off because it won't sit back down correctly. So I'm just going to put some cherries on top here. And I'm not a big fan of whipped cream. Cool Whip, absolutely not. I do not like Cool Whip at all. So, that's just me. Not liking Cool Whip. My aunt loved it and I can't stand it. I like the spray-on whipped cream. So that's just my preference personally. Right. So now we have dessert. Now I'm not going to put this, I'm just going to put this in the refrigerator. And then I'll be able to have those other cheesecakes over the course of the next few evenings. But isn't that pretty? Do some blueberries maybe. But I think if I was going to put the pie filling on it while it's being cooked, that it might not be a good idea to put as much as I did on there, because it's actually over the top of the pan, of the jar. Alrighty, so that is my sous vide personal cheesecakes and filet mignon and green beans with almonds for Mother's Day dinner for myself. So, not everybody has to cook for themselves, but I do on many holidays. But yeah, it is what it is. So anyway, if you like what you saw today, please be sure that you like and you subscribe and you share and leave me a comment. And let me know if there's something else that you would like to see me make for you, because I would love to have you come back to Selena's Corner and see me cook something that you suggested or ask me to show you how to make. I can teach you how to make stuff if that's what you like too. If you'd like for me to do a basics of cooking video, I could do something like that too, because I actually have been cooking since I was a little child. So I've worked in professional kitchens, I've worked as an assistant to a chef, I've worked in fast food restaurants, I've worked Pizza Hut, I waited tables, and I also cooked. I waited tables and cooked by myself, many a shift. So there is a lot that I could help you with. If you want to learn how to cook, we can start from the basics. I'd be more than happy to help you with that. Just let me know. But anyway, I just want to say thank you for spending time with me today at Selena's Corner, and I will see you next time.